My beloved child. There is a reason your heart has felt different lately, even if you could not explain it to anyone. There is a reason certain things no longer fit the way they used to. There is a reason some doors became silent, some people became distant, and some answers did not arrive when you expected them. What you thought was delay was not abandonment. What you thought was emptiness was not loss. Right now, in ways you cannot fully see yet, everything around you is being moved with purpose. Do not skip, because something huge is waiting for you. What is happening in your life at this moment is deeper than a simple change. It is not random. It is not ordinary. The atmosphere around your future is shifting, and even the smallest details are being arranged in ways you will only understand later. You may feel as if one chapter is ending quietly while another has not fully opened, and that space in between can feel confusing. But that space is not empty. It is where unseen preparation happens. Some nights you wondered why your mind stayed awake longer than usual. Some mornings you felt a strange pull inside, as if something important was near but still hidden. That feeling is not without meaning. When life begins to move before visible evidence appears, the heart often senses it first. That is why you feel a pressure you cannot describe, a silence that speaks louder than noise, and an expectation that rises without explanation. Stay till the end, because what is being revealed now may explain what you have questioned for a long time. There were moments when you thought nothing was changing because the outside looked familiar. The same room. The same people. The same routine. But hidden movement does not announce itself loudly. Sometimes the greatest turning points begin quietly, without applause, without warning, without anyone noticing except the one who is being prepared for them. And this is where many people misunderstand their own season. They look at what has not arrived and decide nothing is happening. They count what is missing and ignore what is being built. But there are seasons when visible proof is delayed because inner strength must rise first. There are seasons when answers wait because timing must become exact. Something in your life had to pause because something greater needed room. You may have noticed that certain conversations suddenly changed. Certain plans no longer felt right. Certain thoughts that once excited you now feel small. That is because what once matched your old season cannot always travel into your next one. When life begins to shift, your spirit often loses peace for what no longer belongs ahead. Do not skip. This moment matters more than it appears. There are things you asked for long ago that seemed forgotten. There were tears no one saw, words spoken quietly, hopes carried secretly. Nothing disappeared. Nothing was wasted. What looked delayed has been passing through timing, alignment, and preparation. Sometimes the answer takes longer because the answer is larger than expected. You thought one closed door meant rejection. But what if it was protection? You thought one silence meant absence. But what if it was careful timing? You thought one disappointment meant the end. But what if it was only the removal of something too small for where you are being led? Right now, something old is losing power over your future. The fear that once controlled your choices is weakening. The confusion that once clouded your peace is being challenged. The weight you carried for too long is beginning to break apart, even if slowly. You may not feel complete freedom yet, but movement has already begun. And here is why this matters now. Before visible change arrives, inner certainty often begins growing quietly. You start noticing you are not reacting the same way. You begin caring less about what once disturbed you. You begin sensing that what is ahead cannot be stopped by what happened behind you. Something huge is waiting for you. A sudden turn can happen after a long silence. One moment can explain months of waiting. One unexpected answer can make past confusion clear. One new direction can reveal why older paths disappeared. This is why you cannot measure your story only by today's appearance. Some people around you may not understand the distance you have needed lately. They may not understand why your heart feels serious, why your thoughts feel deeper, why certain words affect you differently now. But transformation often creates a quiet separation before clarity becomes visible. There is a hidden reason for this present pressure. What is next requires a stronger version of you than yesterday allowed. That stronger version is not being formed through comfort alone. It is being formed through patience, restraint, discernment, and the ability to remain steady when nothing obvious confirms your progress. This is why even in silence, something valuable has been happening inside you. Stay till the end, because this next truth is important. Some things are leaving not because they defeated you, but because they finished their assignment. Some people stepped back not because your value changed, but because their place in your journey changed. Some opportunities faded not because you failed, but because they were never meant to define your future. And now, as everything shifts, what seemed disconnected will begin forming meaning. You will understand why certain answers came late. You will understand why certain moments felt heavy. You will understand why your spirit refused to settle where your future could not grow. The shift has already started, even if quietly. A new kind of courage is appearing in you. A new way of thinking is rising. A new expectation is forming. And once that begins, life rarely remains the same. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Because what is ahead is not arriving to repeat old patterns. It is arriving to break them. It is arriving to move what has stood still. It is arriving to reveal that even in hidden seasons, nothing was without purpose. And before this part closes, remember this carefully: when everything seems uncertain, it does not always mean everything is falling apart. Sometimes it means invisible. But listen carefully, because what is happening now is not only about what is leaving your life, it is also about what is being positioned to arrive. There are moments when life becomes quiet just before something significant appears. Many people mistake that quietness for emptiness, but silence often carries preparation. A season can look ordinary on the outside while extraordinary movement is happening underneath everything you see. That is why you must pay attention to the feelings you cannot explain, the sudden thoughts that return, and the unusual sense that something is about to change without warning. Do not skip, because something huge is waiting for you. What you called an ordinary day may actually be standing very close to an unexpected turning point. A single conversation, a single realization, a single unexpected opening can shift more than months of effort ever could. And often, before that moment comes, there is a strange feeling that life is holding its breath. That feeling is not meaningless. You may have noticed recently that certain memories returned without invitation. Certain names crossed your mind unexpectedly. Certain old questions came back, not to trouble you, but to show you how far your heart has already traveled. What once wounded you does not hold the same power now. What once confused you no longer defines you the same way. This is proof that something inside you has already moved ahead, even before the visible results arrive. Stay till the end, because this next part explains why the pressure became stronger before the shift. Sometimes the greatest changes begin when life feels most uncertain. Not because things are falling apart, but because old structures can no longer hold what is coming next. There are thoughts you used to believe that no longer fit your present understanding. There are expectations you once held tightly that now feel distant because your future requires wider vision than your past allowed. And here is what many never realize. Before something meaningful enters your life, distractions often become louder. Doubt speaks more often. Delay feels heavier. The mind asks whether anything is really changing. But hidden progress does not need noise to be real. What is building quietly can still become powerful suddenly. Do not skip. Something huge is waiting for you. There is also a reason why certain people could not remain where they once stood in your life. Every season carries different roles, and not every person can walk through every door with you. Some were only meant for one chapter, not because they were meaningless, but because their place belonged to a different stage of your journey. You may have tried to understand why some things ended without explanation, why some answers never came, why some expectations dissolved before becoming real. But not every closed chapter was a loss. Some chapters had to close because your future could not breathe inside old limitations. And now, what seemed delayed is beginning to gather meaning. A hidden alignment is forming where you cannot yet measure it. Details you never noticed are connecting. Timing you thought was too slow is becoming exact. Even things that felt disconnected are being arranged with precision. Stay till the end, because the next truth may stay with someone for a very long time. There are moments when life changes not because everything around you suddenly becomes different, but because one inner realization changes the way you see everything. The moment you understand that silence was not rejection, you stop fearing quiet seasons. The moment you understand delay was not denial, you stop measuring your worth by speed. And right now, that deeper understanding is beginning to rise. Something in you is learning not to panic during waiting. Something in you is learning not to chase what no longer carries peace. Something in you is learning that what belongs ahead does not need force to arrive. Do not skip. Because there are answers that only become clear when the season is almost finished. There are revelations that arrive after long patience, and when they arrive, they often explain why the journey could not happen faster. This is why your present moment matters more than it seems. Even if the day looked ordinary, even if nothing dramatic happened yet, invisible movement still matters. A hidden shift can begin before visible evidence appears. And when visible evidence finally arrives, many people call it sudden, even though it had been building quietly for a long time. Something huge is waiting for you. Perhaps this is why your heart has felt a strange seriousness lately, as if you are standing near something important, even if you cannot name it. That feeling often appears when one chapter is almost complete and another is preparing to open. And when that opening comes, what once looked confusing may suddenly become clear. You will see why certain delays protected your peace. You will see why some outcomes had to change. You will see why your story could not remain where it once stood. Because what is shifting now is not small. It is touching your thinking, your direction, your patience, your understanding, and even the way you expect tomorrow to unfold. So hold this carefully, even if you cannot explain every detail yet. Movement has already begun. And sometimes the strongest proof comes quietly first, before the world around you catches up. And now there is something deeper you need to understand. Sometimes the biggest shift begins at the exact moment when you think nothing important is happening. A person can stand in the middle of transformation and still believe everything is unchanged, simply because visible proof has not arrived yet. But not every important movement announces itself immediately. Some of the most powerful changes begin in silence, where no one claps, no one notices, and no obvious sign appears at first. Yet that hidden beginning often becomes the reason an entire future looks different later. Do not skip, because something huge is waiting for you. There is a reason your heart has been unusually alert. A reason certain ordinary moments suddenly feel heavier with meaning. A reason some thoughts return with unusual strength, as if your spirit is trying to notice something your eyes cannot yet fully see. This is often how a new season approaches, quietly, but with unmistakable pressure. You may have asked yourself why your emotions changed without a clear explanation. Why things that once mattered deeply now feel smaller. Why certain conversations no longer satisfy your heart the way they once did. It is because inner movement often begins before outer evidence appears. When life starts shifting, your spirit recognizes the change before your surroundings explain it. Stay till the end, because what comes next may explain why recent days have felt so unusual. There are moments when delay becomes a hidden gift. If certain things had happened earlier, they would have met the wrong version of you. If some answers had arrived sooner, they would have entered a season not yet ready to carry them well. Timing is often protecting more than people realize. This means what felt late may actually be arriving at the strongest possible moment. And that is why you should not measure your story by comparison. Someone else's timeline cannot define your purpose. What belongs to one life arrives differently than what belongs to another. The path is not weaker because it took longer. Sometimes longer preparation creates stronger outcomes. Do not skip. Because there are hidden moments in life when one quiet shift changes everything that follows. One decision, one realization, one door opening unexpectedly, one burden lifting at the right time. These moments often appear ordinary when they begin, but later they are remembered as turning points. What if you are standing near one of those moments now? What if the reason things feel unsettled is because old patterns are losing their hold? What if the reason your heart feels stretched is because it is making room for something that could not fit before? Something huge is waiting for you. There are people who think visible silence means nothing is happening. But hidden movement is often stronger than visible noise. A seed beneath the ground appears invisible before growth becomes obvious. Yet the invisible stage is where life is already beginning. That same principle appears in personal seasons too. There are things developing around you that cannot yet be fully measured. A new strength. A clearer mind. A more careful heart. A stronger ability to recognize what belongs and what does not. This is why some old fears no longer feel as powerful as before. You may still remember them, but they no longer lead you the same way. You may still think about past disappointments, but they no longer define your expectations completely. That is not accidental. That is evidence that something inside you is being strengthened quietly. Stay till the end, because the next truth carries unusual weight. Not every closed door was a punishment. Some closed because they had already served their purpose. Some opportunities faded because they were too small for what needed to arrive later. Some expectations disappeared because your future required something different than your first idea. And often, when people finally understand this, they realize that what they once called loss was actually careful redirection. Do not skip, because this part matters. There are moments when life removes certainty so deeper trust can grow. Not comfort in everything being easy, but strength in knowing that hidden movement still matters even when answers are incomplete. That strength changes a person. It teaches patience without surrender. It teaches stillness without fear. It teaches how to stand in a season where not everything is explained and still believe that meaning exists. And perhaps that is exactly where you are now. A place where not everything is visible, but enough has changed inside you to know that you cannot return to the way you once thought. Something huge is waiting for you. Soon, what feels hidden may begin showing itself through unexpected clarity. Through one surprising moment. Through one answer that arrives with unusual timing. Through one event that suddenly makes older confusion look understandable. Because when life shifts deeply, it often reveals itself all at once after a long quiet build. And when that moment comes, you may look back and realize the shift began long before you recognized it. Yet there is one more truth that many people discover only after the season has already changed. Sometimes what feels uncertain is actually the final stage before clarity. A person can spend days wondering why nothing looks complete, while at the same time standing closer than ever to a breakthrough in understanding. This is why you must not judge this moment too quickly. What feels unfinished today may already be carrying the beginning of something remarkable underneath it. Do not skip, because something huge is waiting for you. There are hidden transitions that happen quietly inside a person before life reflects them outside. A new calm begins where panic once lived. A stronger patience appears where frustration once spoke loudly. A different kind of confidence rises, not loud, not dramatic, but steady. And when that quiet strength appears, it often means the inner foundation has changed enough for the outer story to follow. You may have noticed that some things no longer disturb you the same way. Some words no longer carry the same weight. Some delays no longer create the same fear. That is not because your story stopped mattering, it is because you are becoming stronger than the things that once controlled your peace. Stay till the end, because what comes next may explain why certain answers had to wait. There are moments when life protects future joy by delaying present certainty. If everything arrived too early, it would meet the wrong atmosphere. If every answer appeared immediately, deeper growth would never have finished its work. Sometimes what feels like waiting is actually careful preparation for something that must arrive at the right depth, not merely at the right speed. And this is why hidden seasons often feel longer than expected. They are building more than one result at the same time. While one answer is approaching, your heart is also being strengthened to receive it differently than before. While one opportunity is being arranged, your perspective is being widened so you do not treat it lightly when it arrives. Do not skip. Because there is something surprising about the season you are in now, even what looked ordinary may already contain signs you almost ignored. A conversation that seemed small. A thought that returned repeatedly. A sudden peace in the middle of uncertainty. These details often look simple, but later they are remembered as the first signs that everything had already begun moving. Something huge is waiting for you. And here is what many never expect. Sometimes the reason certain things became quiet is because unnecessary noise had to leave before the next message could be heard clearly. Too many distractions can hide what truly matters. Too much urgency can blur what deserves attention. So when life becomes quieter, it is not always emptiness. Sometimes it is space being created for something clearer. This is why you must notice the deeper shift happening now. You are not thinking exactly like before. You are not reacting exactly like before. You are not holding every fear with the same intensity. That difference matters more than it seems because inner changes often become the doorway through which larger visible changes enter. Stay till the end, because this next truth carries unusual power. Some chapters close so gently that people hardly notice they ended. No dramatic announcement, no loud conclusion, just a quiet feeling that something no longer belongs where it once stood. And often that gentle ending is more powerful than a loud one, because it means your heart has already begun walking forward before your mind fully explains it. That may be why certain old expectations feel distant now. Not because hope disappeared, but because your direction is becoming clearer than before. You are learning that not every closed road deserves mourning. Some roads closed because they had already led you as far as they were meant to. Do not skip. Because what is ahead may arrive through a moment that looks ordinary at first, yet carries unusual meaning later. Many life-changing moments begin without dramatic warning. A simple day becomes unforgettable because one detail changes everything. A small answer arrives and suddenly months of confusion become understandable. That is why today should not be underestimated. Something huge is waiting for you. Even now, hidden pieces may already be moving into place, conversations you have not heard yet, opportunities not yet visible, clarity not yet fully formed. What you call unseen does not mean inactive. What you call delayed does not mean absent. And one day soon, you may look back at this quiet season and realize it was not empty at all, it was the place where everything began turning in your favor, one invisible step at a time.